But we've got to deal with the realities. You know, I want to help all kids, but I want to help our kids too.
Right.
And so we've got to deal with ourselves. We don't know who we are.
True.
People will see me dressed like that, like this, and say, "Oh man, look at it! Look, he's dressing in that wild stuff." This is the way we should dress. We need to dress. This talks about our roots.
Okay.
If you ask many young people where you come from, I ask the question, "Where you from?" And what I was doing was having fun, but I wanted to see where she was coming. I said, "Where you from?" She said, "I'm from the Lower 9. Or you'll hear another kid, "I'm from Uptown, I'm down there." I don't know, where are your roots? See, the Alex Haley thing was about roots. Where do you come from? Well, a lot of people say, "Well, I was born in America." And is that where your roots are from? Well, your great-great-great-great-grandfather from America. Well, no, I think we were from Africa. And that's why we need to go back. Okay. And that's why we need to start to teach them their history. Not his story,
right.
Our history. We've got to know. See, one of the things that education in many cases has not been real with us, has not been truthful with us. See, Tarzan did not control my ancestors by simply going, "Oh, Cheetah was not one of the main characters in my history." But if you look at how our history has been portrayed, that we want nothing, we did nothing, then that's a cop-out, that's a sellout. Right. We need to get an educational system that says, wait, not just 1 month every year we'll have black history. No, we're talking about African history.
Right.
We need...
Is there a history taught in school?
Yeah.
Are there history?
That is studying, history per se. We go through history, religion, organizations, just psychology, every aspect of the black community in order to further understand blacks. And, I feel it's important for us to have these kind of classes because being black, we need to know where we come from, we need to know our roots, right. And we need to know more about ourselves. If you ask a white child, well, name me 5 great white people, they can name you 20.
Right.
If you go to a black child and tell them to name you 2 or 3, they're going to have a problem with it. Because if you look through the history books, all you're going to see is people like George Washington, Abe Lincoln. You don't see any black people in the history book. And not only black, but you don't see any Chinese people. You don't see any Spanish people. Everything is European. Everything is white. Everything is a white man. Why can't they have something about my black ancestors in the history book? That's why, when people ask me, I say, yes, history is something that I need to pass from high school, but I don't believe it. I can't totally believe everything they're going to tell me because one book I read said that the Egyptians were white. I know for a fact that the Egyptians were black people and they were descendants of a black race. Right. And there's nothing that anybody can tell me that's going to change that.
So therefore, like Mr. Schofield say, we're getting a contrast with history and his story.
His story.
His story.
Now, for instance, the young brother was saying black. And that's good that we're aware of the color of our skin, but where are our roots? Where are our roots? We need to talk about the Africa, where are we from? We're from Africa. So, there's no country called black land. Italians come from Italy. Frenchmen come from France. Spaniards come from Spain. Show me where black land is. Well, if there's no black land, then how come they calling us black? Well, that's in reference to our skin color, but our roots are in Africa. We're from and anybody who understands us knows where we come from. And until we take it from an African perspective, you know what I've seen people do in this country? Take Egypt out of Africa. See, you really think Egypt is someplace other than Africa.
So it's like we're ashamed to be saying that we're ashamed of Africa, in other words.
Well, we're ashamed of Africa based on the data that's been projected through the media.
Right. Because we see Africans bald-headed running in the woods naked.
Yeah, you got some people, who really believe that our ancestors were hanging in trees. Now, that's ignorant. That's crazy. Right. And they believe that because that's the story that was told to them. They just don't know.
Right.
See, a lot of people, when they look at the movie Cleopatra, they see the Romans in Rome with their mouths open. They think the Romans' mouths are open because Cleopatra looked like Elizabeth Taylor. No, Cleopatra was black.
Right.
See, but now until we're able to go back and research that and get it to our kids on a regular basis, not just 1 month, but every day, we've got to know who the father of medicine was. Not the Greeks. But until we go back and research it, which is a full-time job, then our kids will be in it. And that's why when we can find out that sitting here we have the bloods of kings and queens running through our system, then we become proud. You mean Cleopatra was black and the father of medicine was black? Now, if that sounds racist, it can sound any way it wants. It's true.
It's true.
And then when our young brothers start to find out that we weren't all dirty and weren't all lazy, that we have proud history, then they start to raise their chest and say, I can be anything I want to be. All the archaeological studies being carried on around the world, they're not doing them in France. They're not doing them in Italy. They're doing them in Africa.
Right.
See, we already know through Mr. Leakey that the original man came from Africa. That's not racist. That's true. But until we start to preach that and get that out, our kids won't know.
Right. So therefore, we're back in the situation where if we're ashamed of who we are, if we're ashamed of where we came from, how can we really succeed in a world dominated by people who are proud to be what they want to be? That's the situation that we're in. Because the young man said that he had black studies in his class, but when I was in school, we didn't know anything about black studies. I mean, say for instance, who invented the red light? Who was the first man that died in the Revolutionary War? They told us who it was, but we didn't know they were black people. Exactly. You see, because all the pictures in the history books are of other races than our own. So if we don't get this mental thing, whereas we're not important, we've never done anything. The most important man in my community is Joe Blower, the dealer, or this guy over here. You know, we can't really try to achieve anything if we don't think we can do it. So it has to be a mental.
It has to be. See, right now people are dealing with us like we have no history. When you deal with the people who are popular now, the David Dukes who are saying welfare, that's his big thing. All he says, we got to cut the welfare. All right, if you want to cut the welfare, Mr. Duke, then you saying we have a bill, we owe you a bill. Let's look at what you did to our great-great-great-great-grandfathers and mothers. Let us present a bill for what you owe them. We work from can't see in the morning to can't see at night for nothing. We work not just 1 week, not 1 month, not 1 year, for 300 years. We built the South. Now all of a sudden, everybody wants to forget that and say now, well, the welfare fraud, that people are doing all these bad things, they're cheaters, they're crooks. But let's look at the people who brought our ancestors here, who kidnapped us and looted and hurted and raped our people. So what I'm asking you in terms of being, what is a man? Then we need to look at that.
Right.
We need to look at it from a historical standpoint.
Okay.
Could our fathers be men? Could our great-grandfathers be men? Could our great-great-great-grandfathers be men under a system of slavery?
Right.
See, when you look at it from a historical standpoint, and as coming to this show, I researched it, that sure there were marriages during slavery, but it was just a thing. It had no legal basis. When a man said, I will love, cherish, honor, and obey, and protect you, could he do that in slavery? And if he couldn't do that, then how did that man perceive his manhood?
Right. So we're going to get more into this topic, but we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back on Positive Black Talk with What is a Man?
To me, a man is someone that's confident in himself enough that he doesn't have a great deal of emotions such as jealousy or possessiveness. Someone that's honest, that can maintain a relationship that's based more on honesty than physical things such as sex or money. that's independent enough in himself that he can maintain a relationship with a woman that's just as independent, that he doesn't have to feel a need to take care of someone, that he can handle being married to someone that makes more money than himself or the same amount. A man is someone that's sensitive, yet strong, someone that you can depend on, yet someone that's also not so macho that he is afraid to cry and express his feelings for you. Someone that's responsible, that's not afraid to commit to a relationship, that's willing to take the consequences for his actions, that's ready and willing to be there when you need him, basically.
It's pretty terrible out here. My mother said I was too much trouble, so she threw me out. I'd go home if they'd take me. I just don't know what to do.
Covenant House can get you help.
I wish I could go back home if they'd take me. I just don't know what else to do.
1-800-999-9999.
Covenant House.
But the whole issue here is not just pregnancy. I mean, there are venereal diseases. AIDS is a big factor now, and it's a big factor among heterosexuals, not only homosexuals as it was in the beginning stages, but now the heterosexual statistics of AIDS has risen way above the homosexual. So therefore, you're looking at this, and this is a type of disease that will affect you totally. So it is the girl's responsibility to make sure that the guy is protected. It's not a one-sided deal, not at all. And even with the guy, I think the guys have a responsibility to do this, but I also think that what happens sometimes is that where the guy's responsibility comes in is that they woo the girls, so to speak, and so they do not even think of protection or anything. All they're doing, they're looking at this guy like I'm looking at you, and they're saying, you know, that's it. Yeah. You know, there's no thought about it whatsoever. So protection does not come into the mind. And this is where responsibility comes in on both the guy and the female. But more so the guy if he has that much control, because he's aware of how much he can do. Believe me, the guys know.
Hi, welcome back. We're still here on the set of Positive Black Talk, and you just heard Mr. Schofield getting down. That's what I like about you, man, because you're down to earth. A lot of times people come to the school and they get on the platform and say, you kid, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But you got to get down with the people and talk to them, because if you don't put yourself in a position, you can't relate to them, right?
All right.
So we're still on the topic about what is a man. What is a man? Like I said before, the question sounds simple, but it's not that simple at all. When I was growing up, to be a man, you had to have like a bunch of girlfriends, or you had to have a lot of sex, and you had to have babies. If you didn't, you were funny, or you were a faggot, you was wimpy, and all that other stuff. What is your name?
Brandon.
Brandon, you're from where?
Gregory Junior High.
Okay. Are there a lot of pressures in school with sex today?
There's not really a lot of pressure, but like some people, you know, like they be talking about sex, and you be feeling left out, like almost. Mm-hmm. And they're not really telling you gotta go have sex, but you know, you just want to fit in the crowd now.
Okay. Is there a lot of talk going on in the locker rooms about girls and sex and all that other stuff?
Yes. Well, at school, you know, everyone's talking about put them in the buck, put them in the buck. You know, different positions, you know.
Schofield must know what the buck is.
I got an idea.
Put them in the buck, and that's just not the locker room. That's not athletes. It's everyone. You know, we could sit in physics class and teacher be teaching. We ignore him and just talk about sex. Man, I put your girl in the buck, man. You know this and that, and if you don't talk about it, I mean, people have an idea. I mean, the ones that's always talking about it, you know, sometimes there's someone that's saying, they ain't doing nothing anyway. They're just talking to hear themselves talk. But some people just sit and listen, you know. I mean, it's good that everyone can talk about it, but sometimes when we talk about it, there's young ladies around, and you know, some of the guys, they don't have too much respect because the girls don't show respect for themselves. I mean, because if a young lady can lay in a bed and let you do this to her, she doesn't have any respect. So when we talking about it in front of them, she has no reason to get up and say, you know, that, hey, you know, I don't like this. I mean, she's just right there laughing with us, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not right.
Okay. So like we said before, it's all about where you start. I mean, you can't really talk about your ending unless you talk about your beginning. And the beginning starts at home. Now, if there are a lot of girls out here that are pregnant, they get pregnant before marriage, well, apparently either they're going to raise the child themselves or their parent is going to raise the child. And therefore, that's where the young people are misguided because, I mean, you're living in a single home parent, and a lot of times when I see kids out in the street, like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, little kids, little 8, 9-year-old kids running across the street. And I remember when I was growing up, when the street light come on, we had to be home. You know, I mean, you see the street light, you go. You gotta go home. But today, right, you can stay as long as you want because it starts at home. And it starts at home because a lot of the teenage girls are getting pregnant. But the reason why we have the guys is because girls don't get pregnant alone. It's the young men that get them there. So we're going to talk about, well, Mr. Tony, you have a program that talks about premarital sex and preventing it and other things of that. Basically, what do your kids feel about that? Is there a lot of pressure they go through with the premarital sex?
Well, yes, there's going to be pressures involved in every aspect of sex because it's such a hot topic. It's on the media, you know, the news, the radio, the songs they listen to insinuate sex. So it's always going to be a part of the everyday talk. What we do is we suggest abstinence, but, you know, of course, there are going to be times where, you know, they're going to be in a situation where the mood is right and it's hot and heavy and, you know, they're just going to keep going on without stopping. So, you know, our next suggestion would be to use some type of preventive measures with, you know, with the condom. And what we try and do with that is we go out into the community, offer pamphlets, which we have here, STD facts, where we try and get them to read and understand, you know, the consequences of having sex and what can happen if you do. Not only is there the chance of impregnating some young lady, but there's also a chance of spreading or receiving some transmitted disease. And that's our objective, is to go out and try and stop that situation, violence of communicating STD diseases. You know, the object is to be able to ejaculate, and you know, that's part of being a man, they would say.
So a guy who wears a condom is not a man. That's the word, or that's really what's going on, or what?
I don't know either, though. I just wouldn't have to be a man, because, you know, if I'm in a situation and I feel like I'm going to have sex, you know, I'm going to use something. Okay. You know, if I just don't have something, you just have to go take your cold shower, take your walk, do something. Okay. You know, because I can't see myself. You know, I'm 17 years old. I don't have a job, you know. And, you know, I want to go to college, you know, and I plan on going on a scholarship. And I can't see no way for me to go through college and find a job where I have enough to take care of me and a family. So, you know, if I feel like I just have to have sex, you know, if I don't have a condom or, you know, something that's going to cut down on the pregnancy, just have to leave it alone.
Right, and Mr. Tony brought a poster that talked about football players. The guy holding the baby, it says, an extra 7 pounds could keep you off the football team. Because instead of holding that ball running across the yard line, you have to hold a baby, run into the bathroom and drying them off and all this other things like that. I want to mention something. I saw a movie called House Party, and it had an episode when the guy and the girl was in the bedroom, and they didn't have any type of contraceptives, so the guy decided not to do anything. And a lot of guys thought that he was lame because, you know, the girl was looking good, she was in the bedroom, he was in the house, and he didn't do anything because they didn't have any protection.
I feel if it's there once, it'll be there again.
You say?
If he had the chance once, he should have it again if they really care for each other and she's just not, you know, something he just wanted to do at that time. I mean, I think it was right that he waited, but I'm quite sure in the future they would have collaborated.
Can I comment?
Sure, go ahead.
Because it's beautiful to hear the contrast in styles. The young brother said that took a very responsible position. He said, if I don't have a job, and really I don't want a baby right now, and so what I would do is to take the preventive measures or just leave it alone. That's the idea. The reality of it is that, and here again, that's a very complex area, and I guess we're trying to simplify. But you see, education becomes primary in the sense that we need to educate the young males about their responsibility as well as the female. I've been accused of talking to the young ladies, and for me, it's the immediacy of the problem. Young boys don't have babies, not yet anyway, and so I talk to the girls, but the media has to take a burden of the responsibility and the blame for it. Now kids at a very young age are seeing more. They're seeing sex scenes, which gives the glitter and the glamour about sex. Young boys, and they haven't changed that much drastically than when I was a boy. That's about 100 years ago. But boys are still boys. We all like young ladies and girls. And we've always did that because they're nice.
Okay.
And what happens is that now they're seeing it more. It started with the books. It started with the movies. And now it's something that they want. But that's the glitter and glamour. Having the baby, getting the girl pregnant is the rust and tarnish.
Right. And as we were talking about before about contraceptives, a lot of people today use abortion as a contraceptive.
Okay, yes.
Because if the condom is not there, there's no protection, there's no pill. If she gets pregnant, we can always get rid of it. But what is abortion? What is it?
It's used as a form of contraception, but it's not contraception at all, because contraception is the prevention of a pregnancy. You're trying to stop it. This abortion, the pregnancy has already happened. So what you're doing, you're actually, you're killing your life. But I'm not going to get into the issue of abortion, but you're stopping something from happening, but it's not a contraception, because contraception is more of a prevention, whereas abortion is just stopping something that has happened. And abortion is an irresponsible form of preventing pregnancy, is what it is. Because if you accept abortion, then you have totally washed out what you did as taking responsibility for what you did. You see, pregnancy is the consequences of having sexual relationships. And when you have an abortion, you ignore the responsibilities that came with the relationship, which was the consequences of pregnancy.
Is it? Any of you ever thought about what it was to have an abortion?
Killing that baby. You're killing that baby before it's not really born yet, but it's alive inside the girl's body. And when you have that abortion, you just killing it. You're aborting it. Getting rid of it.
Okay, I used to think an abortion, a girl goes to the clinic, she takes a pill, boom, she's not pregnant anymore. We don't really know what it is because we've never really seen it before. But not until today. So we're going to show you an actual abortion, because a lot of people don't see the seriousness of an abortion. They have it, and it's just something else to have because they've never really seen it before. But today, first time, you're going to witness an actual abortion. So you can roll the tape and let's watch it.
D&E, dilatation and evacuation, is the procedure used to accomplish late abortion in the second and third trimester of the pregnancy. In this procedure, a laminarium, this device, is placed into the cervix, the neck of the womb, the night before. This is simply a piece of seaweed which swells up during the night, and in swelling up, opens up the neck of the womb so that The next morning, when the woman is brought to the operating room and put under general anesthesia, the neck of the womb, the cervix, is already partially dilated. And the cervix is further dilated with instruments of this sort. This instrument is placed up into the cervix. The neck of the womb is further dilated, and even instruments like this are used to accomplish dilatation sufficient to allow breaking of the bag of water, and then the introduction of this grasping instrument, an instrument which can locate the child in the uterus and crush and destroy it.
The patient is being prepared for the procedure. The fetoscope, the fiber optic instrument through which we will observe this abortion, as it begins in a swirl of blood. The forearm. Note the blood vessels running under the delicate skin. The hand and the fingers. This thick blue coiled structure is the umbilical cord. This is the child's lifeline to the mother. This was a little boy. The ear is readily identifiable. It has been shown that in the later months of pregnancy, the child will react to sound. The nose. Here is the mouth. This little fellow can be seen swallowing water. The eyebrows. The eyelids are still closed. These are the tools of the abortionist's trade. In a few moments, this little boy's life will be summarily extinguished with these instruments. The cervix has been sufficiently dilated, and the bag of water is broken. The umbilical cord has been severed, the lifeline cut and collapsed. Now it is being wrenched free of the child's body. And now the abortionist is reaching into the uterus with the grasping instrument to dismember the child.
Piece by piece, the extremities are pulled away, then portions of the back, the spine, and the torso.
A portion of the chest and abdominal wall has been torn from the body. The ribs are easily identified. Can anyone doubt this child has experienced an unimaginable agony? Pieces of the torso are being removed, and the parts are stacked on the table to the side of the abortionist in preparation for reassembling the child to assure that the abortion has been complete. In this pathetic pile of human rubble, we can discern a leg with the foot still attached.
The head is located, and having been located, is grasped in the jaws of the clamp. The clamp crushes the head, and the head is then removed in pieces.
The crushed head has now been removed, and the white matter of the brain has spilled out.
After the procedure has been completed, this instrument, a curette, is introduced into the uterus. This curette is used to scrape out all the fragments and the shards of the afterbirth and the child which remain, and the procedure is then at an end.
And this is what thousands of young ladies go through every day. So what do y'all think about the tape that we've just witnessed?
After seeing that, I believe every young person, every woman, man, should be given an opportunity to see that. Because for me, seeing that, and I'd heard about the process, And having seen that, I think every young person prior to getting involved sexually should see some of the consequences of that. I think that should be, with the parents' approval, kids should be shown this film in sex education, because that young baby represented a life. And sometimes in the glittering glamour of the moment, the passion, that people forget about the consequences. For me, this represents the rust and tarnish. That this is what can happen after the glitter and the glamour. And as you notice from the reaction of the audience, that I myself was squeamish, because you're talking about destruction of life.
What do you guys think about this? Is this really being a man?
Like you said, of being a man. You know, most people have a twisted idea of being a man. You know, they feel like you get the girl pregnant, you know, you have sex with her, yeah, you're a man. But if you ask me if you want to be a man, once you get her pregnant, why don't you let her have that child and take care of that child and live up to your responsibility? There's no manhood in running away from a problem. If you're a man, you face that problem and overcome it. You know, I feel like until you learn how to overcome your problems and face things head on, I'll never look at you as a man, but as a boy trying to be a man, a boy wanting to be a man, you know. And not just with teenagers, but even with grown men. You know, like just in the college, you know, by age, yeah, by law, they're considered to be a man. But if you still think like a child, still act like a child, and still do the things that a child does, if I'm around you, I'm not going to respect you as I would somebody who I consider a man. I wouldn't consider you a man. I consider you somebody under me.
Right. So it's not really a manly thing to do.
I think that what the young brother said is beautiful. I think when you look at that, an individual who claims to be a man, having seen that and given the question, would you want any lady to go through that? Then the second part of that question becomes, would you want your daughter to go through that? Now, the lesson has to be, and again, if we're talking about alternatives, of course, the condom, and if persons say, well, we're just going to do it anyway. But for me, my efforts is to prevent that from happening. And that's my speeches, and as you know, I'm saying to young girls, wait, because this is what can happen. The education aspect, to tell a young man, see now, I have no doubts that these young men, having witnessed this, and anybody who sees that will say, oh no, you know, even though the passion of the moment, I'm attracted to you physically, I don't want you to go through that, and I don't want to be a part of that. And that becomes our primary focus, to say, if they say I'm going to do it anyway, and then the condom, please. But my focus is to let's wait. Let's have some restraint and say, no, wait, I can't handle this right now.
And that's a more mature thing to do. I've had a great time today because we talked to some very inspirational young men, and you are our future. I mean, you are the young men of tomorrow, and hopefully we can break all those stereotypes that everyone has said about us. Like Mr. Schofield said, let's stop the killing, and as far as the sex, well, let's try to wait on that.
Can I just close with this? When I pondered what is a man, I said a man must always put God first in his life. A man must always keep God first in his life. And when he can do that, God will provide the guidance for him. Young men, get closer to your parents. Care and love and respect him. Keep respect as a criteria in your life, that all people have to have that, and you have to have that for all people. It's not how many babies you make that makes you a man. It's how many babies you make and you take care that keeps and maintains you as a man.
Okay. Well, and thank you, Mr. Schofield, for joining us today. And also, Mr. Tony.
Thank you.
I enjoyed this program, and I hope that you did also. My name is Earl Mackey for Positive Black Talk, and hopefully now we know what a man is.
I wish I would do walk around with one glove talking about beat it. Do you see what I'm talking about? You see, when it gets crazy, and it's allowed to be crazy. See, I don't know if you ever been to a mental institution. See, a lot of dudes used to fake being crazy to get in a mental institution so that they could get supplementary income from, you know.
Exactly.
What they found out, bro, when you around crazy people long enough, you become crazy. See, and it's crazy out there. Right now, you see dudes and people walking down the street. You can't tell what they are until you go and look at them in the face. Then you still can't tell what they are. See, 1 + 1 can't be equal in 3. But people who crazy try to make it like that.
Yeah.
Now you've seen that thing going up now. Girls want to be boys. Boys want to be girls. And you wonder why. Because things are out of balance. I'm saying stop the killing. The time you devote to listening to rap music, can you just get out the geometry book? Can you get out that chemistry book? Can you get out that philosophy book? Then you need to read about the different kinds of religion and read what man has done to distort religion. Then you can start to free. How many of you heard of the Masons? Freemasons, all right, the Eastern Star. Yeah. Now, the Masons, the Eastern Star, they're in the pursuit of knowledge, truth, enlightenment. And their history, I mean, secrets have been passed down 5,000 years before Christ from Freemason to Freemason.
Hi, my name is Earl Mackey. I hope you've enjoyed our feature presentation entitled What is a Man? And as you've seen, we have many creative young minds in the city of New Orleans. And hopefully we can take those young minds, build on those minds, and brighten as well as enlighten the future that's in store for us tomorrow. As you know, Positive Black Talk is produced entirely by PBT Network. PBT Network is a non-profit organization, and over the years we've created numerous of programs, lots of them, that has benefited as well as educated the city of New Orleans. And because of that, we have been recommended and acknowledged for the work that we've done. But it takes more than recommendation, more than acknowledgement to keep programming going on. It takes lots of time, it takes lots of energy, as well as lots of effort. And most importantly, it takes support. Support for the community that we're addressing, support for the people that we're trying to encourage. That's why we're asking you for your support. If there's anything you can do, because people always come up to me and say, Earl, how can we help? How can we join your organization? How can we help your show? Well, I'm telling you now, all you have to do is call us up, and if there's anything you can do, if there's some time you can volunteer, if there's some monetary contributions that you can donate to our organization, we will be very receptive to that contribution. So I want you to call us at 821